Hello. Here we have Neville Goddard, The Power of Awareness. And he has a lot of stories in this book. Now, this one has something I'd like to point out. This was a story of a businessman who was wronged by his business partners, basically. And he had to go out and do another business. And his son was in business with him. So they opened up another store and they were doing business. But the son, who's the one who used his imagination to affect the change, in his total, just in his imagination, he would look at the building of the other business, the bigger business, and saw the name that was on top. There's like a sign. And he would imagine that there's a completely different name on the sign of his family, right? And he did this constantly for 2 years. I think it said 2 years. So we're not talking 5 minutes, a week, a month. It took him a few years of persisting in this imaginal act, okay? And, you know, it's the law of assumption. He assumed that their own business occupied that big building where the father used to work. It was like his thing. He wanted them to be the top of the heap in that industry. So he did all that. And, so he did this, and let me just see here. Every day on the way to and from work, he would pass that, and he would see it, and he would visualize the new name, right? And he did it for a few years, right? Now, he only told one person, his mother, and she thought maybe, he'd be disappointed by this in the long run. But he did it. And it says here, 2 years. 2 years later, a large company failed and the coveted building was up for sale. Now, the weird thing is the building was up for sale, but he didn't have any money to buy it. So the first part of his act was that other business failed, right? Creating an opening, and the building was basically up for grabs. But him and his family didn't have that kind of money. So you would say, oh, okay, that's like half the thing. But this other guy came out of nowhere and basically said he was watching them, and he knew that they were honest and they were hardworking. He believed in their ability, their integrity, and he would supply the capital to go into business on a large scale. He thought it was a sound investment for him. Now, in Neville's talks, he goes into this in greater detail, where he says the man, the terms of the sale, the interest charged, whatever, and it was very favorable to him and his family. And, this guy was like telling him, are you for real? Like, basically, are you playing me? You having a joke at my expense? And the guy said no. So he got his father over there, and the man told the father, no, this is for real. I want to do this with you. So they got it. They got the building. The guy arranged for his lawyer to go in and bid on the building, right, anonymously, so they get the best price. And, it happened. They got the building. And it eventually became theirs over time. And in his talk, this story is so identical to the one in his talk. What he doesn't really disclose here is that the son who imagined all this, who visualized and manifested this, is Neville Goddard's brother, his older brother, Victor, I think. And the father was their father. And apparently his brother was very successful in retail stores and hotels, all kinds of things. So, in his talk, he was saying, I know what I'm talking about because that was my family. That's my family. And he has lots of other experiences, stories from other people of things they've done using these methods. But this one, I wanted to highlight it because it took a few years, right? So the point of this whole thing in relaying this story and doing a video on it is to say, persist in your assumptions, right? In your manifestations, in your visualizations. Don't just give up. In today's society, maybe unlike in his day, we have this addiction to instant gratification. You turn on your phone, you're connected to the internet, you've got all, you buy something and digitally it's there, or, you get this 1-day Amazon stuff or 2-day, and you're used to getting what you want, instantly, instant gratification. And some things just take time. And Neville Goddard even explains that everything has its appointed time. It's even said in the Bible, everything has its appointed time. And it's the same thing as if pregnancy, with a human, it's 9 months, right? With other animals, it's either longer or shorter gestation periods, right? Everything happens in its appointed time. And you let it out there and it will happen. But you also have to have faith. And that's where faith comes in. And living in assumption, living, the law of assumption, right? Assuming that it's real, having faith that the unseen, something that hasn't manifested yet in your 3D reality, will manifest and become seen, where you can see it and you can touch it. So have patience, don't give into this instant gratification culture where, you imagine things once or twice and, it doesn't happen in a week and you're like, this garbage doesn't work. Because, that's not the case. Some things can happen quickly, but they don't have to happen quickly is my point. Sometimes they take a little while. Sometimes they're quick. Sometimes they take a medium amount of time. You just don't know. And you have no control over it. You have no control. Your God self, God, is the one pulling the strings and moving the gears and getting everything into place so that it can happen. And it has to happen naturally, as if it would have happened anyway, right? And that's the other thing. When it happens, you're tempted to say, this stuff can't really be true. It would have happened like that anyway, because it happens so naturally that you're tempted to just, as Neville says, go back to sleep, So anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I hope you get some value out of that. Please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it.